If you African, listen up. Listen, I like the African culture. I have friends from Nigeria, Ghana, Liberia. I have friends from Egypt. I enjoy the African culture. Like, I like the food. I like the music. I actually want to go to Kenya. I want to go to Nigeria. I want to go to these places because I've never been there, because I think Africa is an interesting place to go because it has a lot of history. And, I'm actually learning Yoruba right now. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I start to see it, and it's been on my mind. I've seen it multiple times. There's a small percentage of Africans that have this attitude when they come to America, even if they were born in America.
I was with him. I was really with him until he went to that talking point. And we've done videos about this and we've discussed it, right? The way they try their best to separate Africans that live in the US from Africans that live on the continent. We're the same people. We're the same people. The only difference is we live here. So there's certain things that we see that we try to stay away from.
They had this thing where they feel like they're better than African Americans.
No, I've never heard anybody particularly have a thing that says they're better than African Americans. It doesn't even make sense. Am I better than Shaquille O'Neal? No. Am I even in the content space? I don't like Duke Jackson. Am I better than Duke Jackson when it comes to content? Absolutely not. So why do I feel that I'm better than somebody? Uh, Niche specific, industry specific? No, that's just not true. That's what you think they are, but in reality it just doesn't add up, doesn't make sense. It's just your own insecurities. It's not true.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I talked to my homie about it. He's from Nigeria. He said they're called something. They think Americans or African Americans are just like spoiled and we don't something. I don't know. Story time. This is last summer. I'm at a cookout and I'm in a fraternity, so we're at a fraternity cookout. And when you in a fraternity cookout, I mean, I got frat brothers that's African and from different countries, different parts of Africa. I see about 4 girls, and from the looks of them, I'm feeling like they're not from here. Like they're from a different country. They're not from here. When I go over there, I see this beautiful girl. I'm talking about long hair, hazel brown eyes. She was beautiful. She was surrounded by like 3 other girls. I mean, they were pretty too. I seen her chewing gum, and I just asked her like, "Yo, can I get some gum?" She gave me some gum. She was like, "Hi." She smiled, beautiful smile. And I wasn't talking to her. I wasn't talking to them. I was just talking to her. I asked her, "What's your ethnicity? Like, where you from?" She said she's from what was the place in Africa? Cameroon. She was from Cameroon. I never knew it was a place called Cameroon. You mean I'm not from Africa? I'm not African. So I've never been there. So I don't know what Cameroon is. So I'm like, I never heard of that. This like their whole aura of like they were like upset that I didn't know where Cameroon was.
Yeah, so that is probably why you made this video and you kind of made that generalization that the Africans think they're better. um, I don't think we have the Indian style caste system, but and most Africans, if you're listening, please put it in the comment section, but most of us will agree with this. We tend to differentiate amongst ourselves based on educational attainment. Okay. I don't know how that became, but that's the thing. So that is why you won't find highly educated people mixing really with people that are not so educated, unless those that are so uneducated are working for them. That relationship, I don't agree with it, but that's very common across all of sub-Saharan Africa. But there is also a basic knowledge that they expect you to have. Okay. And this is typically derived from if you have at least completed high school. It's expected that you know where Cameroon is and where Suriname is. So while I was reacting to this video, I just, out of curiosity, I wanted to look at what the curriculum currently is, because it changes all the time. What the current curriculum is in Ghana, for example, because I can only speak for Ghana. Uh, Currently, what the curriculum is in Ghana, I just wanted to look at what Ghanaian high school students learn in geography from senior high school 1 through senior high school 3. So this is what Ghanaian high school students are learning in the 3-year geography program as part of their high school curriculum. Physical geography, which studies landforms, the weather, the climate, plant life, animal life, and soil formation, right? Rocks, that kind of a thing. Human and regional geography. So we learn about um, population studies, urban development, economic activities, agriculture, mining, and it focuses mostly on Ghana, our region or our country. Then we extend that to, this is a summary, but we extend that to West Africa and then Africa. And then towards the year 3, we learn what we call world geography. World geography will teach you about the world. You look at the world map, you know the countries, the currencies they use, and this is very intensive. Like you literally have to know what currencies are used in Turkey, what currencies are used in Brazil, like down to the wire, right? You learn all these things. So most people that take the West African curriculum, which is kind of mostly common, and the French, kind of French leaning countries and the French curriculum, which I think is much harder than the English speaking Africa, they expect you to know at least the word Cameroon. Even if you don't know where it is specifically, you should just know that there's a country called Cameroon. And from the way he pronounced Cameroon, it sounds like he didn't even know or had ever heard of it. That is, in the dating world with African women, that is enough to make it not interesting. You can be the most well looking dude and have even the most money, you would be a fling. You will not be the guy that she can present to her parents. Because trust me, some of these conversations can come up when you meet your wife's family and things like that, right? So it is expected that you know this. It's considered very basic to those Africans, the ladies in this particular scenario. They looked at this as the equivalent of not knowing basic arithmetic, 2 plus 2, kind of a thing. This is to them very basic, that you know that there exists a country called Cameroon. You don't necessarily have to know where it is. And Cameroon being maybe one of the largest, I would say maybe the fourth or fifth largest country in terms of land, maybe third in terms of population in West Africa. It's one of those principal countries that you should at least know. It's Ghana, Nigeria, Cameroon, maybe Ivory Coast and Senegal. Those are like the main prime countries on the West Coast that you should know. And not knowing that is, comes across as you didn't do your homework, and it's got nothing to do with Africans that are in the US and how they feel they're better. My brother here, you just came in unprepared. Let me put it that way. You just came in too unprepared. Don't make this conversation about Africans here thinking that they are better just because maybe you didn't take your high school education much seriously, and beyond high school you didn't fill in the gaps of the things that you were missing. This is why I encourage everybody to read. I keep saying you got to read, man. It's very important that you form a reading habit, and so that way you can plug the holes and deficiencies in the education system.
Because I don't know what Cameroon is. Like, I know some of the basic parts of Africa. It's like, so where are you from? I said, I'm from Philly. She was like, oh, she had this thing where she felt like she was sorry for me or something. Like, oh, I get it. You get it. But anyway, start asking all the other girls, like, where you from? She said she's from Ghana, and the other two said they were from Nigeria. And when I asked the girl where she's from, she said, I'm from Ghana. And she made this little joke like, do you know where that is? And they were like giggling with her. But the girl from Cameroon wasn't giggling. And I'm like, wait, is this like a joke that I don't know what Cameroon, like, you know what I'm saying? Making the whole conversation seem like they felt sorry for me, or I wasn't good enough to really talk to them. And you're from Philly, you're from America, and kind of we do things different. So I had to like step back for a minute, like, are y'all thinking that y'all better than me or some shit? Like, and I don't catch feelings. Like, I got tough skin. Like, a joke is a joke. The lady from Ghana was making all these little jokes. Like, she felt sorry for me that I didn't know where Cameroon was. And it was just like a couple questions, like questions I didn't know. And I didn't have no knowledge of it because I'm not, like, I don't I'm learning the culture. I don't know the culture. I'm just learning it. After that conversation, the only thing I regret is not asking her a fucking question like, oh, do you know where Frankfurt is? And of course, do you know where Kensington or Frankfurt is? Of course, she was going to be like, oh, no, I don't know where that is. And I would be like, exactly. Because you're not from Philly. You wouldn't know where Kensington and Frankfurt is. What is you talking about?
Well, I like that you're learning. The part where you say that you're learning, that's great because learning is what fixes a lot or plugs a lot of these holes. But asking her where Kensington is, which I know where Kensington is or where Frankfurt is, it's not something that you capture in a high school curriculum or in geography unless the geography class is here in America. But the equivalent of what she asked you is like knowing where America is. And if you say, well, America is such a big country, everybody knows where it is, then the equivalent question would be, do you know where Canada is or Mexico or some other country within your region? Even a much smaller country like maybe El Salvador or Guatemala, right? Something smaller, or Panama. You could make that as an equivalent. I can agree with that. But asking specifically where Joplin, Missouri is or where Macon, Georgia is, it's going to be specific. I know it because I live in America and I've traveled a lot across the US, but most people wouldn't know that, right? That's not equivalent to the questions they asked you. And that doesn't mean that they feel that they're better. They really did feel sorry for you because you really are supposed to know that, my brother. You really have to know this.
You're not better than nobody because you come from another country or you're African and you're pure African, whatever that means. And I love the culture of Africa.
No. When it comes to this purity that somehow pure African means you're better, that's also not true, man. That's when we start to get into these spaces that are become very toxic. Really, you're American. It's okay. You have a history behind you. You should embrace that history. It happened. You didn't make it happen. It just happened, right? So it is what it is. And if you want to travel to Africa, you should. It's not a big deal. You shouldn't look at yourself any less just because you are a product of the transatlantic slave trade. That's not what it is. You should never look at it that way. And I don't think Africans should also look at this from a position of superiority. This is why I make these YouTube videos. It's like you got to start from some type of equilibrium and an understanding of both sides because nobody knows our side of the story. It's always one-sided. And I like to pick some of these videos on TikTok that may lean more controversial and try to bring it back center. Some people may agree, some people may disagree, but this is why we have the platform. You can share your disagreements in the comment section. And, occasionally I'll look at some of them and I'll respond to them. I do, however, read all your comments. I do read all your comments. So leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. I'm going to let this play out and then we'll be done.
It's a small amount of Africans that do that. Like, you see it in some of the produce stores. They look you up and down. Like, they'll walk by you and won't even say, like, excuse me. They'll just sit in front of you with their shopping cart and wait for you to move and won't say excuse me. And I be looking like, yo, you gonna say excuse me? They might say little jokes that you can't understand, and it's not every African. I'm not saying it's every African, because I have great African friends, like from all parts of Africa. My homie's from Nigeria. He told me there's a small percentage of Africans, and they call them something. There's a small percentage of Africans think they're better than African Americans. Like, they think African Americans are pieces of shit. It's no disrespect, but
as an African, I've never heard a group or a small group of Africans, specific group of Africans. Is he maybe referring to a specific tribe that think they're better than other tribes? I don't know. I've never heard this before. This is foreign. If you've heard it, let me know in the comment section. I've never heard it.
You're in America for a reason. You're in America to get a better opportunity, because unfortunately we got better opportunities than people in those other countries, in them third world countries and
True.
Everything. What makes you think you're better than me? Some of the parts in them areas are extreme.
Well, that's also not logically correct. If I'm in America, but I'm from the poorest country, let's say Burundi, which is one of our poorest. I'm from Burundi or Malawi, okay? No offense to my brothers from Burundi or Malawi, but okay, I would say these two countries are one of our poorest countries on the continent. But I'm a medical doctor in the US and you're just a regular guy. Of course, I'm better than you. You got to look at this from a professional standpoint, from your place in society, it's going to be individual basis. That doesn't mean because I came from a poorer country, then that automatically reduces me to your level. This is also part of the things that have started these conflicts. The fact that I, as a professional, I'm supposed to lower myself into acceptance. And most of us are just not going to do that. You know, you got to shoot up to play up. This is just how it works. It's the world. It doesn't matter if I came from the poorest family in Ghana. If I broke out for based on my own hard work, I am going to see myself as better than you. Competition is not a bad thing, but that also shouldn't be leveraged to disrespect somebody else. That's not what we're saying. But you are making it look like because I came from a poor country and a developing country, no amount of progress I make here should make me better than you. And that's not true.
Only poor areas from what I'm hearing. Like, I don't get it. So my thing is, like, come on now. Like, I love the African culture. Like I said, I'm learning Yoruba right now. And I'm learning a lot of things like that. And I actually want to go to Africa. But them small amount of Africans that feel like they better than people and they don't got to say excuse me in public and, you know what I'm saying, say little stuff under their breath and shit. Y'all can go back to Africa with that bullshit. And that's no disrespect to all Africans, but y'all can go back to Africa with that bullshit. You're in my country to get a better opportunity because you don't have them over there. Some of y'all gotta be humbled. I'm sorry. That small amount of Africans that come over here to act like.
Yeah, and if you say small amount, that shouldn't work you up to this level. And then again, your country, you're claiming it as if when they become naturalized and they're Americans, and they're not full Americans and they're not American enough. That puts you back into that same territory of some Africans saying they are pure Africans. It's same bullshit.